Hi everyone, welcome back to the sewing room. I've been really enjoying making these videos for you, so here's another one. Make sure you subscribe so you never miss an update from me, and let's talk all about the making of this dress. So starting at the beginning, I first discovered this dress when I saw Julia Berolsheimer wearing it on her blog. It's by Toe Studio and she chose the Serena dress in chartreuse organic cotton. But then I realised it does also come in a beautiful blue silk, and there was teal and white versions. It's had the name Tabitha and Nina. You can see all of them here. It has the most beautiful gathers extending from the shoulders and a collar on that back neckline. Absolutely gorgeous. Nomi 2116 was a great starting point because it's such a close match with those overlays. And then I made a few adjustments to the dress view A. So basically I decided not to use the underlying bodice pieces and the straps and just steal the overlays and the skirt. For the bodice I use McCall's 7608. That's actually a jumpsuit pattern, but it has that single dart similar to the Nomi design. And then instead of that curved neckline edge, I created a very straight edge that plumbed quite deep. It's a pretty similar shaped bodice. You can see like the size 14 already fit me in the jumpsuit, and when I lay them on top of each other you can see it's got kind of similar side seams, a short little centre front seam. That dart's on a different angle for me, but basically I knew I was kind of on the right track, and that meant I didn't have to draft a new armhole onto the original Nomi bodice. You could do that if you prefer. I also really liked the back of the McCall's jumpsuit. It had a lovely V-neck that mirrored the front, so I felt like that was the best way to go. The two overlays are like sort of large oval pieces that are sewn right sides together and turned through, and then you gather them at the centre line using basting stitches and then put the little tie around the middle to create the illusion of a tied front. Kind of reduces the bulk, and I guess it makes neat knots. I haven't gone in and hand sewn those knots in place just in case I want to adjust things, but I'm pretty happy with how they look, so I'll probably go back later and sort of hand stitch the knots so they're super secure and won't come out like during wear or washing. I only had 1.9 meters, like a remnant of this chartreuse linen that I got from Abercan, so cutting out was a real challenge, but it was the perfect colour. I had to draft my own facing, but didn't have enough fabric left, so I made this skinny little V-shaped facing and then secured that at the shoulder seams so it won't flip out. And then when I attach my overlaps on top, the bottom knot is actually attached to the bottom of the facing as well, so it's secured through all the layers at the very bottom. Here I am sort of playing around with the positioning. I realised during construction that I'd have to gather the overlays at the side seams to help accentuate the folds of the fabric and get it to fit around my little bust a bit better. The skirt is basically a couple of gathered rectangles, which kept things simple. I always opt for 2 rows of basting stitches for my gathering, and it always sees me right. There's lots of other methods and sometimes I do vary it up depending on the fabric, but this method is always the one I come back to. I made bias binding for the armholes out of about 10 scrap pieces, so there are so many joins. Here you can see the finished bodice with gathered side seams, and then there's my armhole facing with the bias binding. And then I secretly stitched the folds in place with tiny little tack stitches just to try and get them to fall in the perfect way every time I wore it rather than any sagging happening. There is one gather I'm not 100% happy with, so I'm probably going to unpick and redo so it falls a bit better. It's such a strange request, I know. I want the overlays to like look crumpled, but in a neat way. I'm nearly there, I'm pretty happy with it. And then after finding the perfect shade of zipper in my stash, I then decided to hide it with a prick stitch lap zipper finish. I then just secured the facing to the inside of the zipper tape. I mean, I really shouldn't have bothered at all because I can slip the whole dress on over my head, but never mind. You can see some of the little prick stitches here because I've turned up the definition of the shot, but in person they're pretty invisible, so it's a really nice, neat finish. Overall, I'm so pleased with this experiment. I don't wear a lot of linen because it creases badly, so I'm still tempted to make the dress again in silk. I think the bust gathers would sit so beautifully in silk. and it's a silhouette that's out of my comfort zone, so that makes me happy too. I'm trying new things. The original dress is still way more beautiful than mine. I'm not that delusional. But this is a great DIY version for a much lower price. And I got to stretch my sewing skills. So there you have it. I hope you liked this video. Give me a thumbs up if you did, and let me know in the comments if you think I came close to my original inspiration. I'll be back again soon with another video, so make sure you're subscribed, and thanks for watching. See you soon, everyone.